Hello, folks. This is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers for the drawing on February 13th, 2021. If you'd like to get my game Decoding the Powerball, then please go to my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/Decoding the Powerball. Thank you, and please subscribe. Okay, so the object of my game is for you to correctly eliminate groups of numbers. There are 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. Only 5 numbers can come up as winners, so that means 64 numbers can't come up at all. So for me, I think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. So to help me do that, I'm going to turn to the 11 strategies of my game. So strategies 1 and 2, the game card color code, and the 50-50 picks. Okay, so if you've never seen my videos before, why I make them is to show you on how to use my game. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the game card. This is a format that I came up with that represents the 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize at the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage. And the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 15, 39, 58, 63, and 67. Again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers and I put it at the top of this list. And now we're going to find out what colors they were. Okay, so the 15 was purple. The 39 was orange. The 58 was blue. The 63 was blue. And the 67 was orange. So now I'm going to color these in. So again, the 15 was purple. The 39 and the 67 were orange. And the 58 and 63 were blue. Okay, so now I'm going to count how many colors I have. So I got 2 blue, 2 orange, and a purple for 3 colors total. So up here I'm going to make this 518 color code drawings I kept track of so far. And now a 3 color combination has now come up 265 times. Okay, so if you do some quick math and divide 265 into 518, you're going to see that a 3 color combination comes up more than half the time. Okay, and to me that's huge because long term, if I just keep on picking a 3 color combination, I know statistically I'm going to be correct more than half the time. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to eliminate all these colors and start from scratch. So my color code is right here. Here's the red numbers, the orange, green, blue, and whatever's left over is purple. So what I did is I took the 69 white ball numbers, I divided them by 5 colors, and that's 1 color for each of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, and that equals 13.8. So my goal is to get as close to as 13 or 14 numbers per color as possible, or a good representation of each color. Okay, so again, I'm going to start in with the red numbers. Now the red numbers are the last 3 drawings of numbers, and the reason why this is because this will give me a maximum of 15 numbers. Okay, so I'm going to start in with the 15, the 39, 58, 63, and 67. The next line down is the 1, the 16, the 48, 49, 65. And the last line is the 5, the 37, 40, 64, and 66. So again, I'm going to make these red. And now I'm going to count how many red numbers I have on my game card. So over here I got 3 and 2 are 5, 4 is 9, 1 is 10, and 5 are 15. So up here I'm going to make this 15. Now up here it tells me of how many of each color I have on the game card. Okay, so moving on to the orange area, I'm going to start in with the 1. You can see that's already taken, so I can't take it twice. So I'll go to the 2, then the 7, 52, 61. The next line down is the 17, the 33, 35, 42, and 52. You can see that 52 is already taken. So the next line down is the 5, which is taken. The 8, 17 is taken, so the 27, 28, The next line down is the 40, which is taken. The 53, 60, 68, and 69. So again, I'm going to make these orange. And now I'm going to count how many orange numbers I have. So over here I got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 3 is 14 and 1 is 15. So up here I'm going to leave this alone at 15. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the green, and then the blue, and whatever's left over is purple. But what I'm going to do is, just to speed things up a little bit, I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like for February 13th, 2021. So again, there was 15 red numbers, 15 orange, turned out to be 15 green, 15 blue, and 9 purple numbers. Okay, so again, more than half the time, a 3-color combination comes up. So that means more than half the time, 2 colors are not coming up. And that's what I want to focus on here. Okay, so again, the object of the game is to eliminate groups of numbers. So the strategy here is try to correctly guess what color group will not be coming up and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I do want to point out that all 5 colors do come up. It's come up 20 times out of 518 drawings. So it comes up, but it's very rare. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a prediction on what color group will not be coming up. And to help me make a decision, I'm going to turn to the next strategy called the 50-50 picks. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the 50-50 picks. So again, there's 5 white winning Powerball numbers, which means there has to be a majority of either odd numbers or even numbers, or numbers to the high side or numbers to the low side. So I like to keep track of this and try to correctly guess what the majority will be for the upcoming drawing. Okay, so I kind of use these 50-50 picks as kind of like a roadmap to what I think the 5 white winning Powerball numbers will be. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is make this 559. Now this is how many drawings I kept track of so far, and basically this goes back to October 7th, 2015. That's when the Powerball lottery went from 59 numbers to 69 numbers. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go back to the game card to find out how many odd and even numbers have just come up. Okay, so I got an odd, odd, even, odd, odd. So 4 odd numbers and 1 even. So I'm going to highlight the majority, which is odds, and now I'm going to make this 297. So out of 559 drawings, 297 drawings have come up the majority of odd numbers, and 262 drawings have come up the majority of even numbers. Okay, so to help me give me a clue on what I think the majority will be, what I like to do is break things down into 5 again. Again, to show me that majority. Okay, so out of this 5 drawings right here, you can see the majority was odd numbers 4 drawings to 1. Before that, it was odds 3 to 2. Before that, odds 4 to 1. Okay, so I could go back all the way to the start. Okay, but I like to hover around the top here. Okay, now the reason why I would go back into the history is, you know, if I just want to see something back there. Okay, but usually that doesn't matter to me. Just what's happened recently is what kind of matters to me. Okay, so looking at this, you can see that out of the last 20 drawings or so, you can see that the majority of numbers have been odd numbers that have been coming up. And because of that, I'm going to predict that more even numbers are going to come up. Okay, so with this information here, I try to use it as much as possible. Okay, so here I have 4 to 1, 3 to 2, 4 to 1, 4 to 1, 4 to 1. Now I can tell you from experience that 3 to 2 comes up the most. And as I go back into the history, you can see how much the 3 to 2 comes up. Okay, so since the last 20 drawings here, there's been a bunch of 4 to 1s. I got 4 to 1 here, 4 to 1 here, 4 to 1. Okay, So I got 4 drawings. This is the 5th out of 5. And I think that this is going to be 3 to 2. And in order to have that happen, more even numbers need to come up. Okay, so I'm going to go with more even numbers. So I'm just going to write that down just to remind myself what I picked. And again, I think more even numbers than odd numbers will be coming up. But we'll see. Okay, so moving on. The next one I have is high and low. And after that, I got left and right, and then I got this red and blue area. And that's it for my 50-50 picks. Okay, so looking at this one, this is 282 to 277, so that's pretty close after all these drawings. And looking at the last 20, you can see that it's been neck and neck. And it's still neck and neck. So looking at this, you know, I see a bunch of low, then a couple high, then a bunch of more low. So I'm going to predict that this is going to stay to the high side. The majority will be to the high. Okay. Now another reason why I'm picking this is because here's a single red, single red, single red, single red, single red, single red. I have a feeling it's going to double up like right here. Okay, so that's what I'm hoping for. So I'm going to predict that more numbers will be here in the high side than the low side. Okay, so when I go to eliminate numbers, I want to look here in this low side because I think there's only going to be a maximum of 2 numbers here. Okay, so I'm going to write that down as well. That I think is going to be more to the high side than the low. Okay, so moving on. Left and right, this is pretty close as well, 281 to 278. And looking at the last 20, it's been to the left side. The majority has been to the left. And here I'm looking at this again, single blue, single blue, single blue, single blue, single blue. I'm going to predict that it's going to double up. Okay, so I think more to the right side than the left side. Okay, so I just want to say that, you know, we're all going to look at this differently, okay? So we're all going to come up with a different result. Okay, so for me, looking at this one again, it's 304 to 255. And you can see that in the last 20 drawings, it's been to the red. It's been really hot over here. So I'm going to predict that more to the blue is going to come up than the red. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. And that's it for my 50-50 picks. Okay, so again, I said that this is kind of like a roadmap, but after thinking about things, I think I should change that to a treasure map. Okay, I think that's more appropriate. Okay, so again, we're all going to look at it differently, so all of our treasure maps are going to look a little bit different. Okay, but my treasure map says that it's going to be more even numbers than odd, more to the high side than the low, more to the right side than the left, and more to the blue than the red. Okay, so here's the thing. Now, when the numbers actually come up and there's more odd numbers and more to the low and more to the left, well, I'm not going to win, right? But here's the thing. As of this point right now, I just have to assume that I'm correct. So I want to stick to this because I could be right. All right? So now I'm going to predict what color group I don't think is going to come up. And I decided to go with no green numbers. Okay, so a couple reasons why is, first of all, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 odd numbers. And I think more even numbers are going to come up. So 8 out of 15. So the majority is odds, only by 1, but still has the majority. And more numbers are here to the low side than the high side. And more green numbers are in this red area than the blue. So that's why I'm going to go with no green. Okay, another reason why is that when I look from here down to about here, you can just see a lot of green through here. Okay, so I just think that it's going to cool down. And I'm going to say that no green numbers are going to come up again. So I'm going to block out these green numbers off of my game card. Okay, so when I block out numbers like this means I'm not even going to consider these numbers when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm spending $3 on a Powerball ticket, which includes the power play. Okay, so in other words, I'm betting $3 that none of these green numbers will come up in the next drawing. So, if I'm correct with my bet, and none of these green numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm moving on to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 3, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers. Okay, so basically what I did here is I took all 69 numbers and I divided it into 7 different groups. Okay, so this is group number 1. This holds the numbers of 1 through 9. Of course, this is the only group with 9 numbers, where the other 6 have 10 numbers to them for 69 numbers. All right, so how you read this is all these light blue squares right here. This is good for 5 drawings. And again, I like to break things down into 5. Okay, so over here to the left, these are the numbers that just came up. Again, it was the 15, 39, 58, 63, 67. So as you follow this plane across, I'm going to find the 15, which is right here, and I'm going to make this purple. So this shouldn't be here. I made a mistake. Okay, so this is why this square is purple, is because the 15 is purple. And the 15 is purple because the color code said it was purple. Okay, so here's a couple of different ways that you can use this. All right, the example that I like to give is, well, let me start out with why I broke things down into 5. Okay, so my theory is that if there's a lot of hits within this 5 drawings, then maybe there won't be so many hits in the next 5 drawings, or vice versa. Okay, so that's one way of looking at things. All right, so as you're looking at this here, you know, I want you to look at the colors. So I see orange, green, blue, purple. The one color that I don't see is red. Okay, so here it is right here, but beyond that, I don't see a red. And as I was looking at this in real time, I was saying to myself, okay, I think a red number is going to be coming up here pretty soon. Okay, so as I keep on going up, finally a red number did come up. Okay, so what does that mean? Okay, so I'm going to look at the numbers of 1 through 9 on my game card. Okay, so I have the numbers of the 1 and the 5 that are in red. Okay, so that's what I mean. If a red number hasn't come up in a while, then maybe one of these are going to come up. So that's another way of looking at things. Okay, so one more thing that I could do is I could highlight a certain number and I could go back and I could see what colors have come up or haven't come up. Okay, so you know, if the 6 is in a certain color group like blue and it's never been blue, well, maybe it's due to be blue. Okay, so that's another way of looking at things. All right, so what I'd like to do now is reduce this down. Well, before I do that, I want to go over one more thing. And this 4, this tells me that it hit 4 out of the 7 groups, okay? So, in other words, 3 of these groups did not have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the thing that I'm looking at now, the thing that's catching my eye, is I see a 4 and 3s come up the most. Okay, so you can see a bunch of 4s, a bunch of 3s. Okay, now a 2 comes up every now and again, but a 5 comes up on a regular basis. Okay, so as I'm looking at this, a 5 hasn't come up in a while. Okay, so we're looking at 4, 9, 13, or 14, 19, 24, 29, finally 30 drawings since a 5 has come up. Okay, so I'm going to predict that a 5 is, I think it's going to come up this drawing. So I want it to represent 5 of these groups. Okay, so when I'm picking again, what I think would be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, I want it to represent 5 of these groups here. Okay, so what I like to do is reduce this down so you can see the whole card. Now the overall strategy is that there's 7 of these groups and there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. So I know that 2 of these groups cannot have a winning Powerball number to it. So again, the overall strategy is for this, is try to correctly guess what group will not have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so as I look at this, I find that the average is around 4. Okay, it's like 3.8 to 4.2, somewhere around there. Okay, that 4, there's going to be 4 of these color hits within these 5 drawings, like right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so when I look at this, here's 5 right here. And over here, here's 6. So they're way above average. And I still have one more to go. One more drawing to go. So I'm thinking one of these are going to have the miss to it. Okay? And because I think more numbers are going to be to the high side, which is this over here, then I'm going to look over on the low side to predict where these numbers won't be coming up. Okay? So I'm going to go with the 1 through 9. Alright? I don't think any Powerball numbers. I'm going to predict that no Powerball numbers will be here in this line. Alright, so I'm going to blow this back up. I'm going to go back to the game card and I'm going to eliminate the numbers of 1 through 9 off of my game card. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the 1, 2, the 8, 9, and 5 to the 7. Okay, so here's the thing. If I made the correct pick so far, and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers still have to be left here on my game card as a highlighted number. Okay, so I'm moving on to the next strategy. And that strategy 4 to 11, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 3 to group 11. Okay, so let me introduce you to group 3. Now why I call it group 3 is because I simply divided all the numbers into 3 different color groups. Okay, so I got red, blue, and orange. So dividing them up into 3 different color groups, each color represents 23 numbers. Alright, so in the last drawing, there was 2 hits in the red, 2 hits in the blue, and 1 in the orange. And when that happens, I color the background red for hot. Now if there's ever a miss, I color the background blue for cold. So the strategy is, try to correctly guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Okay, so if I could have, on this drawing here, if I could have correctly guessed that none of these blue numbers were going to come up, I could have eliminated all these blue numbers, which equals 23 numbers, and that would have gave me a huge advantage. Okay, so here I'm going to put down 58. Now this has gone 58 drawings in a row without a blue mark. As you look at that compared to the other 2 columns, you can see that that's kind of weird, you know. So when's a blue mark going to be coming up here? Okay, so here's the thing. Now again, I have group 3, then I have group 4, where I divided things into 4 different color groups, then group 5, group 6, alright, all the way up to group 11. Okay, so the reason why I wanted all these groups like this is because I want a different perspective. And I think that each of these groups will offer, you know, some kind of value. Alright, so certainly here with group 3, the odds of you picking correctly are very, very high. Okay, not impossible, but very, very high. Alright, and as you go to group 11, there's only 5 of these things that could have a winning Powerball number to it, so the odds of you getting this one correct are really good. Okay, so again, group 3 odds are really bad. Group 11 odds are really good. Okay, and everything in everything in between, it is what it is. Okay, so again, I just want to give myself a different perspective, a different angle on things. Okay, so here for each group, at 3, 4, 5, all the way to 11, I have 5 of these option cards. Now the reason why I have 5 is so I could have a majority. Okay, so here let's just follow this orange right here. So I have one miss, 2 misses. So here's a miss in the blue. And here's the 3rd miss in the orange. And that's it. So I had 1 miss in the blue and 3 in the orange, and I'm going to mark this blue because the majority is misses. Okay, so this is the overview of things. Okay, so as I go to group 6, the overview helps out a lot more. Okay, so let's go over this one for a second. I'll go over all the red. Okay, so here's a miss in the red. Number 2. Number 3. Okay, so there was 3 misses out of 5, so the majority is misses, so I colored the background blue for cold. So the strategy is, try to correctly guess where a blue mark is going to be. So if I think a blue mark is going to be here in this orange, I'm going to look at the orange areas to pick where I think the 0 is going to be. And then I'm going to eliminate these orange numbers off of the game card. Okay, so going back to group 3, now that you have a kind of an understanding what's going on, looking at this, I see a bunch of 0s here in this red, so I'm going to go for this red one. This 58 in a row, I think it's going to miss here pretty soon. And I'm probably going to keep on picking this until it does miss. So if this goes 100 drawings where a number comes up, then I'm not going to win the grand prize of the lottery. Okay? Now if it does ever come up a 0, then it's going to give me a huge advantage. Alright, so what I like to do now is invite you to play at home. Okay, so here's the game card. What I'd like you to do is draw out the game card like this. You don't need to put the numbers in here. You got the numbers right here that you can look on the screen. And if you go with no green numbers like I did for the color code, then you would X out those, you would X out those numbers that you need to eliminate. Okay, so that's how you would play at home, and whatever's left over, those are the numbers that you're going to go with. Okay, so what I like to do here for you at home is scroll down to the bottom, work my way back up to here, and now you make a decision on where you think the 0 is going to be, and then you X out those numbers. Okay, so I'm going to X out these red numbers right here because I'm going to go for this one, and I'm just going to mark this. Now why I mark this is, let me go over in group 4 here. I think I picked one. Maybe I didn't pick one last drawing. Okay, so here, this represents the last drawing. I thought the 0 was going to be here. I was wrong. Okay, and this tells me where I picked. Okay, so give you a clue. Alright, so here I'm going to get rid of all the red numbers off of my game card. So there's 23 numbers, so it's going to take me a second. So I'm just going to work out one square at a time. Okay, so I'm going to go with the 1, 9, 11, 19, 67, 27. So I'll get rid of the 67, 27. And hopefully those numbers do not come up. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of the 6 to the 22 and the 15 to the 31. So I'll get rid of the 15 and the 31. And then I'm going to get rid of the 40 to the 56 and the 45 to the 61 plus the 53. So I'll get rid of the 40, 48, 56, the 37. I don't think I was supposed to get rid of that 37. No, I wasn't. Okay, so I'm going to bring that back. That was red. Okay, and the last one I got is the 35, 44, 52, 60. So I'll get rid of those. And again, if I made the correct picks, then the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers still have to be left here on my game card as a highlighted number. Okay, so I'm moving on to the next strategy, and that's group 4. So again, we'll go right to the overview now. Now this means that there was no majority where you see this row. There was no blue mark. And I'm always looking for the blue mark. Okay, so again, just like group 3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Now this thing's really long here, so I'm not going to scroll down to the bottom. But I'll scroll down a little bit. Work my way back up. And I'll pause here for a second. Then again, you make your decision on where you think the 0 is going to be. And then you X out those numbers off your game card. Okay, so I like to hold this for a second so you can pause the video and then X things out. Okay, so now I'm going to move on. Option card number 2 out of 5. Again, I'm going to scroll up. Okay, so you may be asking yourself, okay, so Tom, what am I looking for? You know, it's all up to you. It's your gut feeling. You're just looking and trying to predict where this 0 is going to be. Okay, so moving on. So a couple of things that I look for is certainly streaks like this. Now you can see that this went on a streak of 18. So, you know, when it gets up to the streak of 20, that's when I really start looking at things. Okay, another thing that I look for is a bunch of single zeros, because I know eventually they're going to double up. Okay, so moving on to the next one. That's what I mean by a long streak. Okay, so you can see over here a bunch of single zeros. When I scroll down, I'll scroll down to the end, or the beginning, I guess. Okay, another thing that I look for is a 1. A 1 comes up a lot for some reason. Okay, so I'm moving on to the last one. Now look how many 1s come up here. And again, why does a 1 come up? I don't know. You know, I'm not going to speculate on that. It just does. So I want to try to take advantage of that. Okay, so I'm going to make my prediction. And I'm going to go with, I think that a blue mark is going to be here in the red areas. So I'm going to look at the red areas and I'm going to go with this number 1. And the reason why I'm going with it is because of all these single blue marks. Okay, so I got 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm hoping that a blue mark will be right here, and I'm going to get rid of all these red numbers. Okay, so it's the pattern of the 1, 2, 11, 12, all the way down. So I'll get rid of the 12, the 17, 18, the 28, the 33, 34, 49, 50, 59. And again, hopefully those numbers do not come up. Okay, so as I go back here, again, I got rid of 2, 4, 6, 8, and 8 is 16 numbers. Okay, so when I go up to the other side of the spectrum on group 11, when I get rid of a group like this dark green right here, I'm only going to get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. Okay, so you know, here with group 4 I got rid of 16, and on the other side of the spectrum I'm not going to get rid of as many. Okay, so moving on to the next group, and that's group number 5. So again, let me go to the overview. We'll check this out first. Pretty long streak right here for the green. I don't know, they all kind of look like they're going to have a blue mark to them. Okay, so moving on. Again, I made this prediction last drawing. I got that one wrong, which sucks. Okay, and moving on. I'm going to scroll down, scroll back up. Now here what I'm looking for is I'm always looking for a 1. I'm always looking for a long streak. I'm always looking for a 0 to double up. But another thing that I'm looking for is, you can see that here there's a streak of 4 zeros, 3 zeros, right? A pretty good streak. And over here you don't see a streak more than 3 zeros yet. Okay, so that's what I keep an eye out for as well. Okay, so moving on. I'm not going to make a prediction. Actually, in my notes, I did go for this red. So I'm going to mark this one right here, and I'm going to go for this one. Now the reason why I'm going with this one is because I think more even numbers are going to come up than odd, and you can see that all these red numbers represent odd numbers. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the 1, 3, 11, 25, 65 to start. So I'll get rid of the 65. Okay, and then I'm going to get rid of the 15, 23, 21, 29. So I'll get rid of the 21, 29. And then I get rid of the 45, 61, 63, and the 33, 35. So I'll get rid of the 63. Okay, so again, if I've made the correct picks, the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers have to be left here on my game card as a highlighted number. Okay, so moving on. Option card number 2 out of 5. Okay, so the difference with this one now that I get more zeros to pop up, I like to keep track of how many zeros do come up on the right side, and over here I like to keep track of if a zero followed a zero. Okay, so you can see this one here means that it did right here one time. Okay, so if I see a streak of zeros and then there's a couple opportunities to double up, I just might take it. Okay, so moving on. Let me go down here. Okay, so I don't really like this one. But if you do, pause the video and X out your numbers. Okay, so looking at number 3. So over here, I'm looking at these streaks. Okay, so now, a zero can't possibly double up because there was no blue marks. But once a blue mark does come up, like let's say a blue mark comes up in this purple, kind of thinking that the next drawing after will probably double up. Okay, so what I like to do here is try to create some kind of advantage or perceived advantage. Okay, so looking at this one, I don't really like this at all. I'm gonna not pick here, but if you want to pick, then pause the video. Okay, so here, this is what I changed the color to when I changed my mind. So I said, oh, I think these blue numbers are going to miss. And then I said, no, I'm going to change my mind. And I should have kept it because all these blue numbers did not come up. Okay, so looking at this one. Again, I see a bunch of zeros over here. Now, if there's going to be a 1 here, it has to be right here. The only thing I don't like about it is that it represents all even numbers. So I'm going to leave that one alone. Alright, so I'm moving on. Okay, so this was the last drawing. I got this one wrong as well. Alright, so looking at this one, because I think there's going to be at least 3 of these option cards with a 0 in the red area, I'm going to go with this one. Okay, so I'm going to mark this one as well. Blue for miss. Okay, so I'm going to go with the 1, 12, 18, 27. No numbers to get rid of. Then the 8, 14, 22, 29, 31. I get rid of the 66. I don't think I said that, but I should have. And then the 35, 41, 50, 60. And those numbers are gone. Okay, so I think I just got rid of the 66, but that's one more number off of my game card. And if I picked it correctly, then the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers still have to be left there on my game card. Okay, so moving on. That's it for Group 5, so I'm moving on to Group 6. Again, a different perspective of things. It's given me better odds of having a blue mark come up, but I'm eliminating less numbers. Okay, so looking at the overview here. I'm really kind of hoping that this red is going to double up, like right here. So I'm going to look at the red. Okay, so going on to the first one. Option card number 1 out of 5. Here I picked this blue. You can see I got it wrong again. I didn't pick very well the last drawing. Okay, so looking at this one. I like this blue because if a 0 comes here, I'll be putting a 1, like right here. And you can see that most of these have a 1, except for the blue and red. And I'm wondering if this blue is due. I think I'm going to go for it here. I like that one, so I'm going to mark it. And I'm going to get rid of all these blue numbers. So I'm going to get rid of the 10. So I'll get rid of that. Which I like because I like more to the high side and more to the right. Okay, so moving on. I'm going to get rid of the 33, 43, 50, 59, 60. And there's no numbers to get rid of. And then I'm going to get rid of the 37, 63. And so I'll get rid of the 37. Again, one more number off of my game card. Okay, so moving on. Option card number 2 out of 5. Again, went with this orange last drawing, got it wrong. So looking at this purple, again I see 3 zeros, bunch of zeros here, bunch of zeros here, bunch of zeros here. I'm kind of thinking maybe this purple is going to take off and have a streak of zeros coming up. And I think I'm going to go for it. Okay, so I'm going to mark it. The 1, 4, 28. Nothing there. 66, 31, 32. Get rid of the 32. And then the 38, 63, 34, 43, 50. And no numbers to get rid of. Yeah, okay, so moving on to the next one. Option card number 3. Hey, I got one right. Okay, so here I like this one. Okay, this is like a dream come true right here. Okay, so doesn't mean that, you know, a blue mark is going to come up, but it certainly looks really attractive that it's never doubled up before. Does that mean it's going to? No, of course not. Anything can happen, but again, it looks really attractive. Okay, so I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to get rid of the 4. It's basically the same pattern of the 4, 9, 17, and all 4 squares except for this one where the 36 is orange. So I'll get rid of the 13, and that's it. Okay, so again, one more number off of my game card. Alright, so moving on. Here you can see I made a bad decision. Got that one wrong. Here I like this long streak. And over here I like all these single reds. So I'm going to go with the red. I'm going to mark it. Another reason why I like this red is because they're all odd numbers. Okay, so let's see if there's anything even left. Looks like the 55. I'll get rid of the 55. Again, hopefully that number does not come up. Okay, so moving on. One last option card. Okay, so I don't really like anything here, so I'm going to leave this one alone. And I'm moving on to group 7. Okay, so again, another perspective. A different perspective. And looking at the overview, I kind of like this blue one the best. Okay, so option card number 1. Here I went with gray in the last drawing. You can see I got that wrong. Well, I picked really bad. You know, this is all about intuition. And last drawing, I didn't have any. Okay, so looking. Again, I like the blue. And I'm going to go with this blue one right here. You know, it only has the one thing of 3 zeros in a row, where a lot of these other rows have more than one. So I'm going to predict that this is going to have more than one. So I'm going to get rid of the 4, 10, 11. Well, I know that there's nothing here. Maybe the 42 and 57. All 3 of them are in play. So I'll get rid of all 3 of those. Okay, so moving on. I am going to go on to the next one. Okay, option card number 2. Sorry about that, kind of spacing out there for a second. Alright, so take a look at this one. And here, don't really like it. So I'm going to move on to number 3. I picked this last drawing, got it wrong. Big streak at 12. Doesn't happen very often. And because it doesn't happen very often, and it had a big streak here, I'm going to say that the 0 is going to be right here. So I'm going to mark this one. Okay, so there's nothing here. 5, 15, 21. Nothing there. 37, 45, 55 in the 35. I don't believe that there's anything left. There's not. Okay, so moving on. Number 4. Alright, so I'm looking. I kind of like this brown. I mean the orange. I kind of like this orange. Because you can see that in the orange there's only been one. And most of all these other columns have more than one. Except for the brown. But I think it could be due. So the 6, 21, 31. We'll see if there's any. No numbers. Then the 39, 53, 54, 69. So I'll get rid of the 54. Again, one more number off of my game card. And that's it. So I'm going to mark it. Okay, so the last one. And I'm looking. Kind of like this gray, but wow, it had a huge streak of misses. I guess I really don't like this one, so I'm going to leave it alone. And I'm moving on to the next one. Okay, so I'm getting down there. I got Group 9, Group 10, Group 11 left. Okay, so here's the overview of Group 9. I kind of like the purple. And let's see what's going on. Okay, so looking at this one, kind of like this blue over here where I see just one long streak here. Maybe it's due to have another streak of 3 or more. I don't believe that there's any numbers left anyways. Okay, so let me just set up my game card here for a second. Okay, so going back, there's no numbers there, so moving on. Up to card number 2. Okay, so I'm looking. And I kind of like this. kind of like the gray or the green. Let's see if that 47 is still in play. It is. So I think I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with gray. So I went with this the last drawing. You can see I got it wrong, but I'm going to go for it again. And I'm going to knock out the 47. Alright, 1 second here. Before I do that, I need to go back to the individual numbers for a second, because I want this to represent a 5. So I want it to represent 5 of these groups. Okay, so right now I got 1, 2, 3. If I count the 47, that'll be 4, then 5. I do have 6 groups. So I think I'll go for it and I'll knock out that 47. But here's the thing, I got to be careful now, okay? So I got to make sure I'm going to keep the 16. I'm going to keep the 24. Which I like because they're both evens. But now I think the majority of the other numbers are going to be here to this high side. So since I have a 39, I'm going to get rid of this 30. So I'm going to keep the 39. I need the 39. So now I need a 50 and a 60. So I need to figure out the 51 or the 58 or the 62, 64, 68. Alright, so moving on to the next one here. Sorry, let me get my game card up here. Okay, so I went with that 47. Now I'm moving on. Okay, so again, I need to get rid of the 58, 68, 62, 64. Okay, so looking at this one, I kind of like the red over here. Because there's so many, these streaks don't go very long. And here's a good one of 5. But other than that, you know, they just don't go very long because there's so many options. So I'm thinking this red. And now it will knock out the 64. So I'm going to go for that. I can't do that. I didn't see that I knocked out the 39 as well. So I'm going to go for the 64. Actually, I'm going to keep on using the game. I'm going to leave it alone, not make a rash decision, and move on to the next one. Maybe I'll get better clarity. Okay, so I like this orange. Here it is, getting rid of the 39, so not going to use that one. Okay, so moving forward. I was looking at this purple, and I think that is going to be a hit here. So is it going to be the 58 or the 68? So really still no help, and this is the last one. So I'm going to go for keep on going, group 10, and then I got group 11, and that's it. So I kind of like this brown. When I have so many options like this, looking at this is just harder and harder to try to guess. So I'm just going to take a look at this, and so far I kind of like this yellow really sticking out to me. I don't think it knocks anything out though. Nope. Okay, moving on. Alright, I'm looking. Don't really like anything. Over here, I try to use this any way that I can use it. Okay, so I'm looking at this saying I think a pink number is going to come up. But there's no pink numbers to come up. Where's that 51 there? The 51 is there. Okay, so I'm going to go for the 51. So that means I'm going to get rid of the 58. Okay, the 16, 24, 39, 51. And I got the 62, 64, 68 to choose from. Let's see if I can knock one of those out somehow, some way. Here's a streak of 3 drawings in a row here in this purple. Don't really like that one. I'm going to leave this one alone. So moving on. Kind of like this red over here. But that doesn't help me out. Okay, this one's not a big help. I'm moving on. And looking at this one, I'm looking. Wondering if this purple is going to have a hit. Let's say the 62 is in. Boy, I like that one. I think I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with the 62. So I'm going to get rid of the 68 and the 64. Okay, so quickly going through my 50-50 picks. I wanted more evens than odd. 16, 24, 62 will make that happen. More to the high side, the 39, 51, 62 will make that happen. More to the right, more to the blue, which I have. Okay, so I have all my 50-50 picks. So what I'm going to do is I have one more group 11, and I'm not sure how you're doing at home, so I'm just going to keep on going for the folks at home. Okay, so I got to minimize this a little bit. This will only take a minute. I'm going to scroll down, scroll back up. Eliminate your numbers. Okay, number 2. Scrolling down, scrolling up. Certainly looks like there might be a hit in this brown. Here's that 51, so hopefully. Okay, moving on to number 3. Scrolling down, scrolling back up. And looking and looking. Okay, moving on. Number 4. Scrolling down, scrolling back up. Kind of like this green one. I kind of like the brown to hit. I don't have anything, so hopefully it doesn't. Okay, so moving on. Scrolling down. And back up. The one that catches my eye is the orange over here. And kind of this yellow to have a hit. And there's the 16, so hopefully. Okay, so that's it. Hopefully you made some good picks. I'm going to blow this back up. Okay, so I think Sherlock Holmes said it the best when he said it's a matter of deduction. So if these blocked out numbers don't come up, then these 5 highlighted numbers have to come up. So now it comes down to what are the odds that I made all the correct picks? Well, let me go over the official odds. The official odds to get the grand prize, all 5 white ball numbers and a red ball, the odds are 1 in 292 million that you're going to get it correct. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct, and what I mean by that is that the game is geared up for the white balls. I'd love to win the grand prize, of course. Now, the odds of getting the white balls correct are 1 in 11,688,000. Okay, so in other words, you can make nearly 12 million 5-number combinations out of 69 numbers. Okay, so I don't want to give any kind of illusions that this is going to be easy to win. So another great prize to win would be 4 white ball numbers and a red ball. That pays 50,000 plus the power play if you play it. You can see that the odds are just about 1 in a million. So I wanted to give myself some perspective. And that is, if I spend $3 per drawing, there's 2 drawings per week. That means I will gamble and most likely lose because the odds are so steep. $312 per year playing my game Decoding the Powerball. Okay, so some people in the past have asked me, hey, if you think you're going to lose $300 a year, then why do you even play? Well, I think we can all agree on it. In order to win, you need to play. And for me, I'd just rather pick my own destiny than take an easy pick or a quick pick. Okay, so moving on, I do have something for the Powerball number itself. Now, there's 26 red ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. So over here on the left side, I just divided those numbers in 2. So if you see a blue number, that's low, 1 to 13. If you see a red number, that's high, 14 to 26. Over here on the right side, if you see a red number, that's odds. If you see a blue number, that's evens. And this blue mark, this green mark tells me that the Powerball repeated. So you can see that the 24 came up, it repeated, and repeated again. Okay, so off to the sides, again, I like to break things down into 5 to show me that majority. And you can see that this is already one in the majority for this one coming up. This one's undecided. So looking at this, it's gone on a streak of 4 drawings to the blue. And what I'm thinking is that I think it's going to be a red number. Okay, so I think the Powerball number will be a high number between 14 and 26. Over here on this side, I see a couple of single red marks. Basically, I see this side being dominated by blue. So I think that this red is going to come up again. So that means I think it's going to be a high odd number. Okay, so looking at this, the oldest highest odd number is the 15. Okay, so let me go down and try to find it here. Okay, where are you? Here it is. Okay, so it's been a while since this came up. All the other high odd numbers have come up. And I'm hoping that this is due. Okay, so you can see it hasn't come up in a while. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so in closing, well, how I like to say this is, or how I like to word this, is that my best guess is I think the winning Powerball numbers will be the 16, 24, 39, 51, 62, and the Powerball 15. Okay, so we'll see what happens. So in closing, I'd like to thank you for watching. Again, if you like my game, you can get it through my Patreon page at patreon.com/Decoding the Powerball. Okay, so there's lots of people like me that have their own systems out there, but if you don't, and this kind of makes sense to you, and you want to pick your own destiny like I do, then feel free to go to my Patreon page, or you could email me at my email here at Decoding Powerball. Okay, so if you'd like to give me any feedback, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Again, that's just decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Okay, and as always, I want to wish you the best of luck with your picks.